The Boston Celtics currently have the second best record in the East, and as of this recording, they're tied with Denver for the best offensive rating in the NBA. Now with this team, obviously the wing and backcourt play is what really makes them go. Jaylen Brown has been playing at an MVP level all season. Derek White is still one of the best two-way guards in the league. And in general, Boston always has lots of shooting, defense, and high IQ players on the court. But a guy who's kind of flown under the radar for them has been Neemias Queta. From a bird's eye view, his numbers don't really jump out. But when diving into the stats and film, his impact is undeniable. Now as a player, Queta brings a ton of value on both sides of the ball, but to start things off, we'll look at his offense. In the half court, he does a vast majority of his work as just your typical screen and roll man, and physically as a roller, Queta does check all the boxes. First, when diving towards the basket, he's great at simply catching and finishing. If he's dealing with traffic or multiple bodies underneath him, he's great at keeping the ball at shoulder level and going up into efficient finishes. And granted, plays like this aren't super flashy, but being able to catch, keep the ball up, and absorb contact without dipping it are pretty major skill sets. And it does take a ton of core strength to absorb contact like this without lowering your base. And then it's also important to note that Queta is also a legit vertical lob threat. He's not quite as bouncy as other centers, but him being able to play above the rim is an option. Now, along with all these efficient catch and finishes in the deep paint, Queta also has the ball and body control to catch from the distance, to then use those strides to teleport up to the basket. And he can both use those steps off the catch, or put the ball down and slice through traffic. I like this read and move here, where Horford initially heads off this drive. So Queta in response attacks back towards the middle to then sneak up this inside hand finish. So in general, for any offense, having a center who can roll to the rim and put legit pressure on the defense is always going to be a big deal. And that's especially the case with the way Boston's offense is structured. Along with Queta, there's pretty much always 3 or 4 shooters on the floor. So that kind of rim pressure really does bend the defense. If they aren't showing aggressive help from the weaker backside, they're going to be giving up countless of layups and dunks. But then at the same time, if the off-ball defense shifts too far down towards the paint, they're then vulnerable to open threes. Having this kind of a roll threat is something the Celtics have missed in recent years. In the past, both Horford and Porzingis were primarily pick and pop threats, which did add a good wrinkle to their system. But I think having a big man who can roll towards the basket really has opened up a different dynamic to the Celtics offense. But then along with that rolling gravity, Queta's also a pretty good passer out of the short roll. If he feels the defense collapsing, he has no problem making routine kickouts. So again, with Neemias on the court, there is kind of this push and pull effect with the defense. If they rotate out the shooters, they're then going to leave the paint wide open for lots of dunks. But then if they collapse down, you're then leaving the Celtics shooters open on the perimeter. That by itself is enough to make Neemias a big positive for Boston's offense. But then outside of that, he still finds other ways to bring value. First, off the ball, I think he has a really good feel of spacing and timing. For example, in pick and roll, if he doesn't initially get anything diving towards the basket, he's great at staying engaged and finding the soft spots on the floor. Off the screening action here, look how Bobby Portis initially gets caught ball watching. So Neemias just cuts across the opposite block, setting up an easy catch and finish. And that ability to read the defense, along with Boston's shooting, also leads to countless of easy buckets around the basket. Off this cross screen here, look how 2 defenders jump towards the ball, leaving the paint open for him to dive.
Seconds to go for Pritchard. Found the right.
Around the basket, Neemias also has really good touch. If he catches with length or bodies in front of him, he has no problem rising up for soft 8-foot push shots. And he can sink these looks with either hand. And in general, these may not be shots that he gets into that often, but they're still good looks for him to have in his back pocket. Now the last thing worth mentioning is Queta's presence on the offensive glass. As of this recording, he's snagging just over 3 offensive boards per game, which is top 20 in the league. The volume from here may not be super high, but him just being active from these spots is a bonus. And because he has the size, length, physicality, and awareness off the ball, he does have the tools to provide consistent second chance opportunities. So when looking at Neemias' game from a bird's eye view, his build and skill set has been a crucial part of their offense. Him just being a good screener and roller is more than enough to create breakdowns and really good overall shots, especially with the amount of floor spacing that Boston always has on the court. That combined with him having good instincts off the ball, plus being a legit threat on the offensive glass, low-key makes him a crucial part of the Celtics system. Now, when moving on and looking at Queta's defense, a strong case could be made that he has an even bigger impact on this side of the ball. First and foremost, Queta is a really good rim protector. He's got the height and length to both alter and eliminate shots, plus the foot speed to move and put himself in position. Watch him here scramble down from the free throw line to take away this VJ Edgecomb drive. Along with his build, I also think Queta has really good discipline in the paint. He's great at contesting up vertical, which for the most part avoids fouls. So Neemias having the size, quickness, and timing on the basket is pretty much enough by itself to make him a legit rim protector. And he's the only guy from the Celtics who provides any kind of resistance in the paint. So when they're matched up with teams like New York and Detroit, who really thrive off getting to the basket, Queta's presence in the lane is going to be a must for Boston's defense to stay afloat. So naturally, because Queta is a center, he also gets pulled up into a lot of pick and roll. And the Celtics, for the most part, will kind of leave him in a deeper drop, where he'll play a level below the screen. And the idea is to funnel the ball handler into long contested twos. And this does work for Boston because they have really good backcourt and wing defenders, who are very effective in navigating and blowing up screening actions, or at the very least staying attached and affecting the ball. Then even if the ball handler is able to cleanly turn the corner, Queta does have enough foot speed to keep the ball in front and affect shots. Arguably the quickest guard in the league right here is going at him full speed, but Queta still shuffles his feet and keeps himself between the ball and the basket. In spots, Queta has also shown that he has the ability to step up and meet the ball at the level. You probably wouldn't want a heavy diet of this against the top tier guards, but he has shown in spots that he's more than capable of stepping up and containing the ball. And then it's also worth noting that while committing up towards the level, Queta also has the wheels to recover back towards the paint. So defensively, Neemias both being an above average rim protector, plus being able to hold his own in pretty much every kind of pick and roll coverage, I think is going to make him a very reliable center come playoff time. And him being around the basket with Boston's point of attack defenders, I think will give teams like New York and Detroit plenty of problems. So when looking at what Queta brings Boston on both sides of the ball, there is no debate that he's one of their most important players. I think that role that really opens up a lot for their offense. And at the center position, there's nobody else on this roster that provides what he does defensively.